Hello.
Hi.
It's good to be here with Serena in her little studio exhibition, which is happening this weekend. Serena's kindly asked me to come down and ask a few questions and talk to her about her recent work. I'm going to keep this very short, very informal, and I hope you find it useful. So, first of all, how has the past few weeks been for you?
Busy.
Weeks and months?
Busy.
Yeah.
Long. But pretty productive generally.
Yeah. And how have you found the whole COVID thing in terms of just being in the studio, being back from London, you being where you grew up?
Part of me has really, really loved it actually. And I think at the beginning I wasn't too sure, but I just got stuck into making work, and I think the whole experience has really lent to how I've approached making my work. So
And you talk about it in your recent stuff on your website about how you treated it as a residency. Was that for a sort of practical reasons? Was it just the mental compartmentalization of that process?
I think it was just knowing that I couldn't be anywhere else and didn't have the option to be anywhere else, and to utilise the time I had to the best way possible.
Yeah.
And I think I did a residency at the Tyrone Guthrie Centre last year, and it was 2 weeks of intensive work, but it was almost too much. It was until the dinner bell went at 7 o'clock, and I was in the studio 7 in the morning, 7 at night.
Yeah.
And I wanted to. Well, initially, the restrictions were only going to be in place for 2 weeks, so I kind of decided that was my 2 week window to make shitloads of work and make the best of it, not knowing that it was going to be 15 weeks later.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is when I first met you, your first show I saw was the show you had in Coast. It's about 2 or 3 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
And you were doing those sort of landscapes of this area. Now, when you were in London for like the year, you were doing a lot of stuff about London landscape and the urban, as it were, and the sort of statues and the pomp and scenery of horses and horse guards, horse guards. What's that word? Cavalry, thank you. And then there's like the statues in Trafalgar Square and stuff like that. But since you've come back here, you've kind of lost that, or moved away from that kind of really figurative approach or sort of landscape approach. There's definitely hints of it in your new work, but it feels like this is a very different body of work. Was that conscious, or did that evolve over time?
Yeah, it was definitely conscious decision to start making abstract work again, because I realised that it was getting so representational that it was almost too literal in how I was trying to portray my ideas. So I thought it would leave a lot more ambiguity by making abstract work, and then I can project as many ideas as I like onto it and not be expected to make a certain finished end result.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's been really freeing, and it's still very much based on being here, and there might be, like the work that you were talking about in Coast was based on the coastal erosion between here and Kilmore, and a similar idea that the process that I was using could be reflected in how the tide comes in, washes away the coastline, and it was that idea of layering up and pulling back, layering up, pulling back. So I think there's always been a sense of where I am in my work.
Mm-hmm.
Even in London with the horse thing and the cavalry was because I was working in the stables. I was riding in Hyde Park. I was meeting the cavalry on Rotten Row in the morning. And then I was looking at the monuments, and with Brexit and everything else going on, it was like, well, I can do something a bit fun with this, portraying the people falling off or whatever. But it was still very much based on where I was, even though visually and aesthetically it's completely different work.
And with this new body of work, I mean, there's sort of two definite techniques coming out of it. There's the sort of scratching into the panels, and then there's the sort of exploration of sort of Japanese inks and colour. So I think we're quite good is we just look at these two little works as sort of representative. So if you could just talk us through sort of the process behind
Yeah.
this type of work, and then we'll move on to these ones.
Okay, so this little one was made at the very beginning of the whole COVID lockdown thing, and they're all works on gesso panel, and build up layers of paint. You can see underneath where the green bit is, there's another layer under that. So I'm building it up in layers, and then this is all cut out with lino cutter, I think, and then cut into the surface as well. So it's kind of like there are remnants of each layer left over, and that was.
And when you're working on those ones, because they do hint at sort of, some of them are quite geometric, like the ones we can't see on the wall over there. This one looks like kind of almost like spiders, tentacles, or octopus perhaps. Are those sort of happy accidents, or do you know going into what the end result's going to be?
Sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Like the one that you can't see off the camera there is that was an old painting that I worked into, so I was carving bits away and scraping it back, and then the geometric lines kind of emerge to frame the composition of the painting that was there before. So it's like they come about because of the composition that was there beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then these ones that feel quite different. They're similar kind of size.
Yeah.
Some materials. There's a very different approach to these.
Yeah.
So tell us more about these ones then.
So yeah, same size, same same materials, different process in that much more layers, but I also have been making prints from the likes of these at the beginning, and then so it's kind of a record of each layer of painting, whereas with these ones I've been making paintings from other paintings. So I'll do a layer, or I'll make a painting, then I will paint over it with inks, then I'll press the inks onto another panel. So they're transferring and they're kind of morphing into each other, but then there's little bits like some of these little white and raised up bits are the actual surface from the other boards. So they're transferring and they're kind of mutating between each other.
Cool.
That's the idea.
Well, listen, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All the works are for sale. So come down if you're around this weekend and have a look and support local artists. Thank you.